Greetings, valued viewer. What's up? My name is Pat. I'm a songwriter, producer, and mixer here in Nashville, Tennessee, and today we are talking about vocal production, specifically from the standpoint of workflow. The process of tracking all the way up to mixing, how to stay organized, why it's important. Let's talk about why it's important right now, actually. If you're fucking slow, dude, no one's going to want to work with you. If you're sitting in every session and you're clicking around and, okay, I'm going to add an 1176 and then an LA2A and it's going to be great. Just give me 15 minutes to get that set up, artist. Not what people want. It's expected these days that you're going to be able to move fast, track quick, and then deliver something that sounds dynamite in a reasonable amount of time, especially in the space of writing, especially in the space of the independent artist workflow where we're not dealing with A&Rs, we're not dealing with labels. It's just us cranking out the songs as quickly as we can. Speed is king. So let's start broad. Tracking. This is going to be kind of dependent on your budget, where you're at in your career. Are you starting out? Are you kind of journeyman? Are you pro? You might have a certain amount of money to devote to this. But a vocal chain for the modern producer working out of a bedroom is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing you can invest in. Besides acoustic treatment, besides monitoring and having a reliable setup that can sound great in a room and also deliver accurate audio to you when you're mixing, a vocal chain is probably the thing you want to invest the most money in. For me, I am a big fan of this lovely AKG C414B from Austria. Yeah, it's a good sounding capsule. Yeah. Very clean, very accurate. And it is very accurate. Seriously, whatever you put in front of this is what it's going to sound like. It's a lovely microphone. It's a great catch-all. Would highly recommend. There are so many great options. Warm Audio makes great stuff. I mean, the world is your oyster. We're not going to get into that specific kind of stuff today. I also like to bust out the 7B for certain types of vocalists. I also have an old Royer that I'll bust out. I'm busting. And, for a more vintage rolled off kind of sound, but have a decent selection of mics that can handle delicate singers, powerful singers, and something for vibe, maybe. Again, a lot of great options, a lot of great videos out there for all kinds of mic selection, whatever. Are preamps important? Yes. It's all important. Everything's important. My chain, which you're listening to right now, is the 7B into a Neve 1073 SPX and then into a Warm Audio 1B. It's their TubeTech clone, the TubeTech CL1B, one of the most famous vocal compressors of all time. Look it up. This works for me because it's expensive and it sounds expensive. That's the only logic. I like having an EQ on my pre to bake a little bit of vibe in. I like tracking with compression. Hardware in 2025, in my opinion, is clunky in the mixing stage, but vital in the tracking stage. If you have a UAD Apollo, you can do things in console. For example, let me pull up here on screen share. In console, whenever I'm tracking a vocalist, in addition to the EQ and compression that's going to be baked in by my hardware, my singers are always monitoring through an SSL channel strip and then another 1176 crushing the vocal. And I'll usually give them some verb or some delay in their ears as well, because when they're tracking, I want it to sound like a record immediately. I want them to hear the subtleties of their voice. I want it to be very upfront. I want them to sound famous in their ears. It's going to get a better performance out of them. That's tracking. That's tracking for me. I think it's different for everybody. On the note of tracking, if I'm in a writing session and we've gotten, I've got my track kind of to a place and we're ready to lay down a vocal, I have a template. There are some people that might balk at templates. Oh, how could you? Everything should be curated and bespoke. And sure, that's a lovely philosophy, but let's keep it fucking 100. Again, we're going for speed here. Speed is important. For me, we're not going to pay attention to plugins today. We're not talking about vocal chains. What we are going to talk about is how my tracking setup works, why I think this is the best way to do it, and why I think you should do it this way. As I said, the artist is hearing a great sounding vocal in their ears already. The DAW is not providing any of the audio that they're hearing. I'm completely eliminating latency from everything. I don't want to deal with it. So all of the in-ear for the artist while they're tracking is being handled by hardware and UAD console. Cool. What do we do when we're tracking? I have a dedicated record track. For example, here on the screen here, this dedicated tracking track. All of the audio that I'm recording is going to land there, and then I'm going to let's track. Hey, check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. What's up, girl? Gonna get up inside them guts, girl. Okay, so I take that vocal take and I immediately drop it into one of the pre-existing audio tracks here. Let's say verse, for example. This track will now route to a vocal bus, which has a chain in it, so the vocal's going to sound good again, like a record, immediately upon playback. And my vocal template, I include a basic delay and a basic reverb. That way, when we're listening back, the vocal has vibe. And we do this for the entire song. I will obviously add or delete or change tracks depending on song structure here, but for the most part, I've got a verse track, a chorus track, a verse 2 track. I might, we'll move it around if there's a bridge, if there's not a bridge. But the point is all the audio lands on the record track. I drag it down, and then let's say that verse take was not dope. We just have a playlist. Oh my God, you suck. Like, comment, subscribe. So we got a new take. That one wasn't it either. So on and so forth. But what's great now is I have these playlists here. I'm keeping everything. I'm recording everything. Everything is always playlisted. We don't delete shit. Never, ever delete anything. Unless it's absolutely horrible, never delete anything. You can keep these takes, and even if it's not the one that you decide is the main take, you can save this audio and you can do other shit with it. You can turn it into doubles. You can turn it into vocal chops. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and there's always the off chance that the artist goes, man, I don't like the way I said but in verse 1. Oh, no worries, dude. I've got like 30 other takes of but. 30 might be a lot, but this is how I like to work, and this is how I would recommend you work. This is going to give you the best combination of speed and flexibility for your tracking. Let's talk about comping. Personally, I like to comp with the artist day of the vocal session. I want the artist to leave happy with what they're hearing back here. And then if we have to pull out something else to comp something differently as we're sending mixes back and forth and dialing the song in, I have them. But for the most part, I want the artist to be satisfied with their vocal performance day of. I don't want to surprise them and be like, yeah, dude, I got super creative and just did a whole bunch of bullshit to your voice that they didn't approve. Saves a lot of headache. And a lot of artists really enjoy kind of the creative control, the intimacy. It builds partnership. It's a good feeling. It's something I would recommend doing. You can, of course, kick them out and comp it yourself if you want, because you're a big genius, big brain producer. No one's smarter than you, right? Value viewer. But I would highly recommend doing it with the artist in the room. So we've talked about tracking. We've talked about comping. Other things that we want to do in our workflow before we even get to mixing. We have a basic organization here, which is fantastic. All in a template that we just fly in. We've comped. We're happy with how everything is sounding. Let's talk about other ways to process our audio. Obviously, Melodyne. Hopefully you're working with singers that are great enough to where on vocal tracking and comping day, you don't have to, be pitch correcting in real time. You can just slap an auto tune on your vocal chain and in the key, and it's close enough and great enough. And then you get into the nitty gritty of Melodyne. Let's throw this guy up there. Melodyne in Pro Tools, you can just instantiate it on the audio track. Super fantastic. Plenty of other DAWs have their own version of this. I'm a big believer in Melodyne. This is where I do all of my major pitch correction. I always have auto-tune on my vocals, period. I might just drop the retune speed down incredibly low, but Melodyne is the first thing. That's where the majority of pitch correction and change and altering of performances happens for me. Before I even Melodyne, though, I will also use RX to take clicks and noise out. One of the things that I really hate about the Warm Audio clone of the CL1B is that bitch is fucking noisy. So I'll do things like declick and denoise. I will commit that to the track first, and then I will do pitch correction after that. This can change, I suppose, depending on what you want to do. That is how I would recommend you do it. Track, reduce noise, reduce clicks, pitch correction. Breath control. I like to do that in Melodyne. Melodyne is brilliant for chopping out breaths. Let's see, do we have any breaths in here? Let's see. Hey, check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. What's up, girl? Gonna get up inside them guts, girl. Okay, so we don't have any breaths in here, but you could very easily in Melodyne. Oh my god, I'm gonna get canceled. You could very easily within Melodyne just delete the audio. This is happening in Pro Tools, at least. This is happening on the audio track pre-plugins. So good to do this stuff before you're hitting your chain. All right, valued viewer. So we've talked about the basics of your initial workflow. Let's say that you've done all the things. You're so happy. The artist is so happy. Everything is fan-fucking-tastic, and you're ready to start mixing. Again, workflow. Templates. Templates. This is my mix template. This is how it looks. It's clean. It's organized. I don't have all the fucking audio hanging out in random places throughout the session. Everything is grouped, how it's going to be, reflecting how it's going to be mixed and put into organizational folders. Keys, guitar, bass, drums. Beautiful. If I need to find them, I know where they are, inside their respective folder. And there's a whole bunch of bussing bullshit and mixing stuff going on there. Same for my vocal. I have all of my lead vocals, and anything else like a vocal chop or some sort of vocal effect for the lead vocal is all going in the lead vocal folder. For example, in verse 1 on this particular song, we have a... When I walked in the door, what I was looking for was... Some weird shit happening under the verse 1 vocal. That's going to live in the lead vocal folder. It's routed to a BGV bus folder, but I want to have access to anything that's prominent within the lead vocal folder. There's that. Same with the BGVs. All of our BGVs are in their BGV folder, and they are routed appropriately to a BGV bus. And that BGV bus, in addition to the lead vocal bus, feed a final all vocal bus. My mixing setup, this is specific to me, yours might look different, is based on the kind of the Brower system, where I have all of my vocals bussed together, my drums and bass bussed together, all of the music bussed together, and then all effects bussed together. You don't have to do that. I like it. It works for me. Tell me to fuck off in the comments below. If you've made it this far, hit us with the like, hit us with the comment, hit us with the subscribe. We're going to be doing more of this content all the time, once per week. In fact, and apologies for the relatively low production quality here, man. I'm not doing any crazy edits. I don't have time for that. I'm a working producer. I'm not a YouTuber full time. This is something I do on the side to try to provide value to valued viewers like yourself. So, that's my system. That's how I would recommend you do it. Why is this important? Speed. When it comes to automation, for me, it's very easy for me to say, okay, in the verse, I want a short hall reverb, but in the chorus, I want a long plate reverb. And now what I can do very easily is on this final lead vocal bus, I can instantiate my sends, and I can turn them on and off with ease. I don't have to insert individual effects in certain places. I know where everything is at all times. Here's my quarter note delay. It's right here. I know that it's on during the chorus. I know that it's off during the verse. All of my effects live in an effects folder. So if I need to tweak that, I can go, oh, fantastic. Here's my lead vocal quarter note delay in the chorus. I need it to have more feedback. I want to filter it even harder. Easy. All contained in organized places. We have all the audio for the lead. We have the final lead bus where we're sending that audio to effects. Same with the BGVs. Although it looks like on the BGVs, we pretty much did all the effects on them on the track level. Oh no, here we have let's see where this thing leads. Sends on those. I know where everything is. This enables me, with my templates that I use every day, to go from we just tracked to we are mixing after a little bit of prep work within maybe a couple of hours after I do all of my melodyning and my denoising and my declicking and all of that bullshit. I fly in a tracking template, then I fly in my mixing template. It all slots in intuitively. It's all organized. There's not tracks everywhere, and we go fast. we go fast. Obviously, the downsides, which there are, to using templates are it's kind of the same core sounds over and over again. So it's up to you as a producer to constantly be iterating on your sounds, constantly changing. Do these sounds in this template fit the vibe of the song? No. So then we will start from scratch. But by and large, from a workflow standpoint, by making sure that you're using a tracking template, doing it the way that I just showed you with a record track, dropping it down onto individual tracks, chopping and comping there, feeding a vocal master bus, that is going to enable you to move quickly. It's going to impress your clients. It's going to impress your co-writers because you're not sitting there going, okay, hang on, let me make a new track and let's just make sure that that's compressed perfectly. Fuck that. You got to move quick. You can get into the nitty-gritty when you're mixing. You can spend 2 hours EQing and getting the perfect compression settings when no one's in the room. But when people are in the room, fast, 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 fast. Commit to your sounds. Don't be afraid. Just rock. I think that's basically it. Yeah, that's it, folks. I'm going to log it off here. It's Sunday, and I'm going to go watch football. So, if you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe. If you would like to see different kinds of specific tutorials, feel free to tell me what those are in the comments below, and I'd be happy to do that. I do a series called Song Surgery. That's how the channel started. It's kind of a living portfolio where I show you some of the stuff that I've been working on, and we get into some more specific cool things. I'm going to be doing those regularly, and I'm going to be dropping some more tutorial content. I don't think that I'm going to be doing top 5 plugins, because there's a lot of guys that already do that. I'm going to try to keep it practical, pragmatic, philosophical, and workflow oriented for the most part. But if there is a desire to get specific, we can do that as well. So that's it, folks. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going to go enjoy my Sunday. Hopefully, whenever you see this on Tuesday, you're going to enjoy your Tuesday. Love yourself. Love your friends. Keep making great music, and we'll catch you on the next one.